Well, good morning, guys. Been a long time since you people have been able to enjoy my face, so it's good to be back. We'll do a crop update video. It's been a while now. A lot of things have kind of changed since the last video. We got some rain here yesterday. We got a really Friday. It was Friday. We got that super important half-inch that was awesome. Now this morning we got a few more tenths. I'm kind of glad we didn't get much out of this system, because this system was a local flash flood kind of system where it's going to hit a tiny area and it's just going to do downpours with heavy winds and chance of hails. Somebody else can have that. Somebody else can have that. I don't want that. I will go a little bit dry before I take the Great White Combine. But aphids we did have. We were watching and nothing, and then all of a sudden, just boom, just overnight, you had fields that were just infested. So we did some spraying. Had Garrett come help me do some emergency spraying. I think his rogator setup can go through the bean stubble a lot better than my tractor with duals and the pull type machine. When you got foliage like in this bean field, them bigger tires just pull the plants over so bad. But we can then that rain helped kind of knock the last bit of cool. Then we had, right after that population exploded, we had some cool weather which helped control the fields that we didn't spray. And then now this rain kind of helped knock it gone, and now it's over with, but you got the remains of what was there. But in the bean field here, I'll spin the camera around, we'll take a look at it. All right, guys, so the soybeans themselves, we had a lot of aphid pressure. We sprayed some fields, didn't spray the others. The ones we did not spray, the ladybug population just exploded. Everywhere I look is ladybugs, and you even see a lot of ladybug larvae. There's a mature one. There's a larvae, just a mean looking dragon, kind of reptilian looking thing. How awesome would that be? That'd be like us looking up at a T-Rex. I mean, there's a couple more. There's one in transition. It's starting to curl up and harden up, and there's another younger larvae. So Mother Nature helped us out a lot with weather and predators on controlling the aphids in this field. The other field we had to spray, got the hiccups and the burps. I don't know what's going on. Population or yield wise, we got soybeans coming out of the canopy, and it's coming out of the canopy with 3 bean pods, not 1 bean pods. This is telling me we have the potential. We have the potential to get close to 60 bushel beans out here. Come fall time, depends what happens between now and fall, we still might just get 35 bushel beans. But when we have, history says the 2 times in my life that we've had a field go to canopy and now start to get tall, you can see some random spots where it's shooting up. When we've had that in the past, that was an easy almost 10 bushels. It was 5 to 10 bushels field to field, where one field didn't have it and one field did. It was like 10 bushels when we started seeing this turbo effect to the soybeans. Normally we get soybeans that come up and they just have the stalk. You just have the stalk with beans. So that plant of beans, that is our normal average 30 to 40 bushel bean plant. But here you got branches that is just branched out, and the branches are setting a lot of pods. And look at that nodulation. I mean, there was just a mountain of nodules on that sucker, which is awesome. There's another ladybug larvae that's kind of in that transition state. It is just, it's really fantastic, guys. We've had a fantastic year for this. We've had a couple stressful moments, but for the most part, we've had these cooler nights where it really didn't delay plant growth. It actually helped us because it lets the plant just kind of like take a breath, relax, and let them sugars, the plants, all they are is a big liquid pump. They are just pumping water and nutrients up and down themselves, and then that's how they grow. Well, then during the daytime in the sunlight, it wants to have that vegetative growth, and at nighttime when it cools way down into the 50s, which we've had, most of our summer has been 50s and low 60s with a lot of dew. That means that overnight that plant really gets to cool down. It gets all that dew moisture that it can just saturate into the plant itself, and that lets the plant kind of get some nutrients pumped around to get caught up to its vegetative growth. And to me, I'm believing that's going to let us really fill quality grains, you know, the bean pod or the corn kernel. It's just going to let them things pack so dense. I'm thinking, you know, normally we get a 3,000 beans per pound. We might be like a 2,200 beans per pound this year. And we got a lot of pods out here too. It is nothing, you know, sure, the one time I'm going to try and prove it. In history, I normally could not walk out to the field and find a 4-bean pod, but I just walked out. Here's one. There's 3. There's a couple more. Just by walking around out here, there's a big 4-beaner. There's a whole cluster of 4-beaners right there. I mean, you just look at the cluster of beans here. It is just pods everywhere. That is just awesome, guys. That is just awesome. So, history and optimism wants me to say this is a 60+ field for bushel. History and reality says it's not in the bin yet, so 35 bushel is still potential. And so that's just how soybeans and just how farming goes in general. Yeah, so I will leave this bean field talk here. Hopefully we start to see, you know, you get some yellowing going on, and we'll start to see in the next couple of weeks a lot of yellowing start to creep in on these fields. We're a couple weeks ahead of schedule. I don't know if we'll be combining in September, but I wouldn't be surprised if September 31st, September 30th, whatever the last day of September is, I wouldn't be surprised if the last day of September we cut a couple beans just to say we combine in September. But yeah, well, let's go check out the corn. All right, guys, we're in the corn here. We're at that growth stage and that time of year to start seeing some firing from the bottom up to be pretty normal. I guess when I was doing broadcast nitrogen, this time of year with this kind of ear development, I guess I would expect it from right up to here to be already burnt up and yellow and whatnot. But so we're looking really good. We're looking really, really good coming into ear fill time. More than enough nitrogen credits. The other cool part about this year is, so here's a double ear. Here's a small sucker. It's even trying to make a third ear. That will amount to nothing. There's a great sucker ear. Here's a great sucker ear. Here's a great sucker ear. Skip a couple plants. Da 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 da. Another great sucker ear. Skip a couple plants. Another great sucker ear. You're starting to see the pattern. There. Here's another 2 full-size ears. Skip a couple plants. You know, another full-size ear. I guess how do you not get excited about that? Historically, whenever we've had a sucker ear, it's never been an ear that's close to the same size as a normal ear, and you literally get 5 or 10 kernels on it that make it to the grain tank, because the other kernels are just mush, undeveloped, and they just go through the combine because they're so undeveloped. They're just a milk sack and whatever. But here we'll peel one open. So not only are we dented in the 3rd week of August, which is phenomenal, other than the tip here, and some of these never do dent, but the milk line, you can see the milk line is way near the tip there, and that's okay, but that's going to turn yellow as it goes down, and the white's going to go disappear, and you know, the kernel turns yellow. So your milk line just keeps working its way down the kernel. But you look at the depth of them kernels, and that's why I like this. Is an old Pioneer 9917. We started using this guy, what was it, 2012. It was developed for southern Wisconsin. We started using it in like 2012 or 13 as a silage corn. I mean, it was, you know, it's big. It's just a big, stalky, lot of leaf on it. It was a great silage corn that you could pick for high moisture corn as well for the cattle. So it was just a great hybrid for the cattle, for on a cattle farm. But it has been such a rock solid workhorse on the grain side of things. Even in 2014, a September 11th frost, and it still made average corn production. Our historical average, it made it, and it has been nothing but a phenomenal plant for me. I'm very sad to see that it's going away. There's other plants that obviously will replace it and do a better job. If I put this plant in on a hybrid test plot, it would not be a peak winner. But out in the field from one year to the next year, dry conditions, wet conditions, cold, hot, early frost, late frost, it doesn't matter. This hybrid always came through for me. Always came. Never one year did I think, oh, 9917 has to go. Every year for the last 6 years, I thought, God, I am so glad I have a few acres of this old guy. Just a gorgeous plant. Just a gorgeous. It's not the tallest. You're only, 8, 9, 10 feet tall on some of that stuff. But it isn't the biggest corn, but it sure produces. I mean, at 130 bushel, the tassel was below my eye level. It was crazy. But yeah, we are dented. We're looking really good. Great germination, great stands. We have no issues with stock strength as of yet. You do a push test, and that will change as we start to burn up from the bottom up. Ahead of the combine, you start to do a push test to see if you're going to allow that plant, what fields you can combine first and last. Because there's a lot of plants that at harvest time, you give them a little bit of a push like that, and they'd snap down here. Where this stuff isn't, it's still pretty green yet, which is awesome, because that means it's just going to keep on filling that kernel. But yeah, so there's our corn. I don't need to do one for the corn cover crop, because that has literally not changed at all since the last time we looked at it. That stuff is just germinated and just kind of laying there dormant, waiting for some sunlight canopy. Maybe in this 9917 it would have been a better corn to use, because there's a lot less shading of the soil compared to them other hybrids. That other hybrid where I put the corn, you can see the blotches of sun. In that other field, there is no sun hitting the ground. You got that extra couple feet of plant, and it just helps block that much more sun, which is great, because it takes the plant, that means the plants are utilizing that much more sunlight. I wonder if we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 round, and we're going to be almost 40 or so long. This kernel, this hybrid is a very heavy, like I was saying, a 75,000 kernels a bushel is a very safe bet on this hybrid for this year. And looking at the depth of them kernels, I don't think there's many people that are going to argue. So this hybrid to be 200 bushel plus is easily there. Like I said, we're not in the bin yet. We got a lot left between now and harvest. It's kind of hard to really ruin the corn at this point, but things can happen. Are we going to come in at 135? No. Are we going to come in at 150? You bet. Are we going to come in at 160? Probably so. 170, 180? Yep, I'm optimistic for some spots. This spot right here, I would be surprised for what I'm seeing. 100, 200 or 300 feet that way to the road, and a few hundred feet that way I walked down, and then I walked 10 rows of either side, and in that football stadium print, I personally would be surprised if it went much lower than 200. But who's to say that just a few rows outside of where I've been walking, something doesn't change, that's just how it is. But as of right now, I'm not sleeping anymore. I just run around the house. like Captain Underpants and just jumping on the furniture. Anybody have a 3-year-old boy that's been sugared up running around in his underwear? Yep, that's what I look like. And so, all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will leave you go from there.